was a bit twisty.
Lovely.
It's good, isn't it?
I love all the water just pouring over it,
yeah.
and
You're
just sort of thinking, where's my grip?
I was thinking, I was like in between first and second gear. I didn't want sure where to be. First a bit low, second's a bit high.
Especially on the really steep corners, you have to bring it down to first, because if you think second, I'm just going to stall it.
I was on the clutch a little bit in second. I wasn't sure. I got it in sport mode, not wet mode, so I wasn't right sure where the grip was, to be fair.
Have you seen these gloves? Look at that.
Fucking dead.
Freezing cold hands, dead hands.
Dead fingers.
Jesus. So Carl, that was quite a nice ride today.
Yeah, enjoyed it, even though the weather was not too good, but it's still good to get out.
It's not bad, is it? And those bikes are just delicious, aren't they? Really. How did you like the DesertX?
I love the DesertX. It's just a great bike to ride. It's fun. It's comfortable. There's power's there. It's just a great bike for me on the country lanes. It's just perfect, really. It's just freedom you have with it and everything. Yeah. You can have so much fun on them. The sense of freedom riding these sort of bikes and the power they've got, the electronics on it, everything. It's
and what's interesting about them is as well, and about both the bikes today is that they've got the electronics, but they don't interfere with your riding. You don't kind of feel them, do you?
I switch them off anyway.
You switch them off in your van as well, don't you? Yeah, you can see Carl's old school.
My traction control is right throttle connected to the head, which isn't great these days. But
do you turn off your ABS and stuff as well, or do you keep
leave
the ABS
on? Yeah. Anti-wheelie off.
Yeah, well, no, for sure. That's the first thing that goes off. That DesertX for popping wheelies is just, of course, on non-public roads. But
of course, yes.
Do you still ride a lot on the road, or are you?
I'm getting out more and more. I'm not as much as I'd like to, really. I'm quite busy with stuff. But yeah, the road riding, I've never done a lot of it over the years. It's something I'm kind of doing now, with what we're doing, like the adventure bikes and getting out around beautiful places like the Lake Districts and stuff, out with the mates. And so I'm actually getting out more on the adventure bikes now, and really, really taking to that and thinking, we're probably going to, me and a few of the lads are probably going to get some adventure bikes next year and try and do a bit more around the UK and maybe in Europe as well. So,
but it's funny, it's nice, isn't it, when you get around and jump onto motorbikes and with a few friends and it's 2 or 3 days on the road.
Yeah, in the sun as well. It's great, and just stopping off and having a bit of lunch, and it's just the scenery is fantastic. The roads are great. It's just a sense of freedom. It's just brilliant. Yeah, it just clears your head. And, just nothing you think about except just where you are and enjoying the moment, sort of thing. Yeah.
For me, if I'm going out riding, I don't necessarily always go out on my own. I rarely go out on my own for a proper bike ride. I mean, if I have a new bike and I've got to run it in, then
you go on your own.
Then I'll happily go on my own and pick a destination which is just enough to go there and back to to get it run in. But I find I ride very differently on my own, and I don't ride as competitively. I don't ride as fast. I think if I'm riding with friends, you know, depending on, you know, if you're riding with 4 or 5 friends, you quickly find who you want to follow, don't you? And you quickly find who you don't want to follow. You know, there's a friend of mine. Sorry, Roy, but there's a friend of mine who I don't like to follow.
No,
only because he's erratic.
Yeah.
But a good rider, but you can't.
You haven't followed me
predict him. but I love that. I love that, putting my helmet on, you know, getting ready, that little bit of banter as you're getting on the bikes.
Yeah,
and
no, it feels good.
Off you go. But I was riding along, and it's beautiful around the Lake District here. Just, I mean, it's stunning, isn't it? It's just the last little bit of summer, just the end of summer, and I was just I had a flashback to. There were bits of it which looked like Ireland, where I grew up.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a kid, that's when I first started riding motorbikes. And someone mentioned to me once that that if you ride motorbikes or ride horses or something like that, it's very good for your mental health. You know, you get out and you put the helmet on and you.
I can definitely relate
ride.
to that. You know, I struggle with mental health a little bit, to be honest, anxiety and whatnot. And for me, getting out on a bike, it clears my head. It just, for my own mental well-being, just being out on the bikes around the country roads, stopping off for a coffee somewhere, a cafe. It's just, I just don't think of anything else. It just clears my head, and I find it so therapeutic, really, riding on the roads and stuff.
But you've spoken openly about mental health and your anxiety and stuff like that in the past. And is that something that always kind of affected you over the years, or did it affect you when you were racing? Because you always came across so strong.
I was mentally strong, stronger than anybody in the head when I was racing. It really was. I was very nervous before a race, like everybody is. But no, the kind of anxiety and the sort of depression that's just come in the last sort of few years, really. You know, I've struggled with it. Talk about it openly, you know, and getting out, doing exercise, whether it's walking with the dogs down the river or getting out my mountain bike or getting out the adventure bikes, you know, in the lakes or around the country roads and stuff. It definitely helps me, you know, it definitely clears my head and it's something to focus on, and, you know, it definitely helps.
No, it does. And it's funny because someone said to me that, it's great. And I was thinking, well, I've been doing mental well-being since I was 6 years old then, since I started riding motorcycles without even realising
That's
it.
right, yeah.
But I remember when I used to ride motorbikes when I was a kid, like you, but I remember taking my motorcycle test to ride on the road, and someone once asked me, you know, why do you ride motorbikes? And I said, I'm not really sure why I ride motorbikes, but I know that you have to take your driving license.
Yeah.
But you choose.
Well,
to take a motorcycle license.
I didn't take my test because I didn't really ride bikes on the road even as a kid. I did it at 16 until I got old enough to get a car at 17. So I didn't have a bike license. Yeah, I was racing and I've been world champion and won the TT and everything. I'd still no bike license. And it was becoming a bit embarrassing, and I was getting asked to do stuff. I said, well, I can't. I don't have a license, you know. So I actually had the lessons and went for my test in 93 when I was leading the World Superbike Championship at the time. Yeah. And to take my test, and I remember the press turned up probably hoping I was going to fail, really, you know, and I kind of, the instructor made no inkling that he knew who I was or anything, you know, he was treating me as a normal person, which you expect him to, and I did everything and passed the test and stuff, you know, and he said, oh, I'm a bit of a fan actually, watching the CT and stuff like that, you know.
Because it's easy to forget why you do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, should we have dinner, or should we go out for a bit more of a ride?
I think we should go out for more of a ride. I think the weather's a bit better now, so.
Okay, I think we'll get back on that
Get
bike.
the gear back on, get out there, yeah.
Are you going to stick to the DesertX?
I'll stick to DesertX, yeah. You're the adventure bike rider, you? Come on, let's get out.
Let's get out of here. Yeah.